everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. So today I'm doing it a little bit differently. I have decided to create a 12 by 12 layout using the Simple Stories Simple Vintage Indigo Garden Collection. And I also use a few bits and pieces out of the sticker book. I got that as well, and off the sticker sheet. So whilst you watch me create this layout, and I'll mention a few bits and pieces as I go through, but I wanted to have a little bit of a conversation, especially for some of my newer scrapbookers that have jumped on and they've asked me a couple of things. So I decided that I would do a video explaining my 8 little known facts about scrapbooking. Now, I'm not going to ramble on about them, but I just wanted to mention them. So number 1, you don't need all the things to get started. Okay, you can start scrapbooking with a couple of photos, scissors, a ruler, and a couple of 12 by 12 sheets. If you want to scrap in a 12 by 12 format, if you want to use a 6 by 6 format, obviously you can start off with a small scrapbook. You can literally create a mini album to start with, if that is less intimidating to you. You don't need all the things that everybody promotes on all these channels. Do we love them? Yes. I've been scrapbooking for on and off for 20 years, so I have got a very vast array of things that I've collected over the years, and I actually have an entire scrapbook room. So the tools that I use, there's always a cheaper alternative 99% of the time. I now buy things that make life easier for me, as opposed to when I started getting things that I needed. Number 2, it's not expensive to get started. I know that sounds cliche, but you slowly build your stockpile, your stash. So when you buy the stickers from a collection, for example, Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Indigo Garden Collection, I did not buy every single thing that went with the collection. Why? Ephemera, to me, I would rather get a cut apart sheet. I enjoy fussy cutting. So I would rather get a cut apart sheet that I can cut apart myself and use that as my ephemera. I feel when I buy, I did do it one time and I bought all the things. Quite often you find that you've got on the cut, you get the cut apart sheet anyway, and the things on the cut apart sheet are almost the same size, if not exactly the same as the ephemera. So for myself, I cut back cost, and like this layout here, I cut that out of a 12 by 12 sheet. So that's the leftover of the yellow that you can see there. So that was the rest of the sheet. I really liked that design, and I thought I will build on it from there. Cream, white, black cardstock as a base. You can pick it up so cheap. For my Aussie followers, you can get it from either Amazon online, or you can get it, which is really cheap, like dirt cheap. Or I sometimes get it from Craft Online or Scrapboutique sell it. There's, look, oodles of places you can get it dirt cheap. And that's what you use for all your matting and all you don't need to cover all the way in the back. If you look at my video from yesterday, you will notice that I didn't actually, when I backed my photos, I used strips rather than the whole thing. That's how I used an 8 by 8 paper pad to create the layout. Cost effective. Sorry, it's first thing in the morning and my mouth is dry. Okay. Next thing, find your style. Okay, you will find, especially if you're looking on YouTube, you will find certain people appeal to you more because they do things that you find pleasant to your eye. There is no right, there is no wrong. Don't ever let someone tell you, especially if you go to any of these sort of party plans or whatever, or, you know, you do any of the I'm not going to say any of them because I love them all, actually. But don't let them, when I first started scrapbooking, I was led to believe that there was this one company and the stuff they sold was the only stuff you should ever use on scrapbooks because it was acid and lignin free and blah, 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 blah. Yes, that is true. Obviously, your photos, you want them to last. You don't want them to fade. You don't want them to bleach, so to speak, from the acid that you use. But quite often, I always photo mat my photos anyway, and they're reprintable if you so choose to go down that path down the track. So a lot of people online print photos with that in mind. And that's how they scrap. That's all the mixed media, all that sort of thing. It's to your taste. There is no right, there is no wrong. You can do it your way. And yeah, so the page I'm doing today is very simple, straightforward, and basically I created this layout to allow me to have the freedom to talk about my 8 little known facts. Okay, so that was number 3. Number 4, use your resource as every resource possible to you. If that's someone with more knowledge than you, use it. Use it to build your creativity and find your own style. I use Pinterest, I use YouTube, I use Instagram, I use Facebook groups. All of those things. Now, when I say that, you might watch a video. I do this all the time. You watch a video and you absolutely love the way they put a page together, but it's not your style. There's a lady that I watch, MK Gunn. She is amazing. MK, I love her pages. It's not my style. It's totally not. If I tried to use gears and metal and all that sort of jazz the way she does, it would not look the same. Does that mean I don't watch her? No. Does she inspire me? Yes. She shows me a different way and it resets the way I think about a page. Something that is okay, so number 5. So use your resources. Pull from each, that's what I was trying to say. Pull from each page the piece that you like. Some people use sketches and they literally copy that sketch. That's fine. There's millions of sketches out there that are free for you to use to give you a jumping off point. Some people use the sketch to think about their supplies differently. If they're in a bit of a scrapbooking, in a bit of a hump and they don't know what to do, where do I go next? What do I do? I've got all this paper, I've got all these photos, I've got, and it's a bit overwhelming. Use a sketch if that's your thing. At this point, 20 years down the track, I don't use sketches. I like to pull from my brain. I have a different way of processing. I sometimes look at my supplies and then find the photo to match. And sometimes I do it the other way around. Each to their own. Okay, moving on. So, number 5. All glues and tapes are not made equal. Learn from my 20 years of vast experience, they are not made equal. I will tell you, it is extremely annoying if you go back and look at a page that you created 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago and everything's falling off because you didn't use the right tape with the right thing. Okay, here in Australia, I live in Queensland, okay? Proud Queenslander, proud Aussie. Australia, we have humidity in Queensland in summer that, wow. I hate it, to be honest. Winter is not very cold in Queensland. I'll be honest with you, I'm in southeast Queensland, and if I wear more than last winter, if I don't think I even put on more than a cardigan and some jeans. That was the most I put on all winter. Why am I bringing this up? Different tapes respond differently in different humidities, right? Tapes will dry out. If you have air trapped underneath your tape, it will dry out and it won't continue to hold its bond. I use art glitter glue. I have found that to be amazing, especially when I make my mini albums, which I don't do on here, but if you're interested, I guess I can figure out a way that I can maybe do some flip throughs or something. What else was I going to say? So I use art glitter glue. I also use my silicone glue for when I make my trays and boxes and storage. I also use, what else? I am buying the Nuvo glue. It should arrive sometime this week to give it a try. I have always used Creative Memories up until a few years ago. I always use Creative Memories tape. I can tell you, in all honesty, I've gone back to my albums I created 20 years ago and not one thing has fallen off. So that tells me CM creates a great product. I am trying at the moment the Easy Runner tape runners, purely for convenience of ordering and blah blah blah. They seem to be working really well. I've got the handheld one and the gun, and it's working. I'm not getting air trapped. It's great. So that's I tell a lie, I do also have the double-sided tape that I buy from Spotlight here in Australia. And you get a 12 or 16 pack for about $14. It's a great cheap alternative, especially when you're making mini albums. Okay, next thing. 6. Print your photos at home versus buying them in store. I print mine at home now because I have an Epson printer that is photo printer, which is amazing, has 6 different inks in it, and I get great depth of colour. Photos you're looking at the moment, they were printed through a company called... No, I'm not going to call the company. I'm not going to say the name. I wasn't satisfied with the colour that came back. If you look at both of these photos, I don't end up using that sticker, by the way. One's more black, one's more blue. They were taken literally at the exact same time. I was getting very inconsistent results through online ordering. I can't say the company. If you want to know the company, I'm happy to tell you what company it was, but not on here. Okay, so I print mine at home. That also gives me the ability, depending what page and what mood I'm in that day, whether I do a 4x6 photo, whether I do a smaller mini photo, it gives me more variety. I also use the Epson to print my photos. I actually use, what's it called? Creative Print, the app Creative Print. Okay, next thing, 7. I better hurry up or I'm going to run out of time. 7. Size does matter. Yep. Have a chuckle. I did when I wrote it. Size does matter. Your pictures and your story is what's important. People looking back at your pages, you have to work out if the picture is worth the story, or if the picture is going to allow you to really spread your wings and create a really in-depth, You might want to do some hand embroidery on the page. You might want to do a cut file. You might have found a piece of paper specifically. I did one and it was called Slam Dunk. I've got a video for it. The colours of the paper that I bought literally like 15, maybe 17 years ago, the paper matched my daughter's basketball beautifully. Those two things coming together. I told the story, but sometimes it's about the colours of the paper. Sometimes it's about the story. You choose, you do you. You choose what is important to you about that story. So the video that you're watching while I'm waffling on is obviously the story is important to me. That was my eldest daughter when we bought our baby home, Angela home, and so obviously those two photos are very important to me. Taylor is just beaming. She's so happy to have her little sister home and having cuddles. So that's important to me. But it also gave me the opportunity to do some fussy cutting and get some real pretty bits and pieces on there. I'm telling the story, but I'm also able to do that as well. So you work out, the photos tell the story, providing you've got a tiny bit of thing. Otherwise, if you go back and have a look at, I have another one. I did a COVID pandemic, through my eyes, what I saw, what I felt. Now, I typed up a massive, my glue bottle's a bit blocked there. Now, I literally typed out, I think it's 2 or 3 A4 pages. Because to me, the story in years to come, I'm sure my grandchildren are going to go, what? The government made you stay in your house for how long? Like, that's not fair. You can't do that. The government wouldn't do that. Why would they do that? I can imagine all these conversations. Are you chuckling right now? Are you watching this going, oh yeah, I'm with you, sister. Trust me. Okay, so make sure you get your story down. If you don't like your handwriting, type it, print it on your printer. Buy a typewriter. I love typewriters. Oh my God, I love them. You know, like, just use stickers if you want to. Like, just, you do you, but get your story out as well as having the photos to tell the story. Now, last but not least, have fun. Bang, there it is. Mic drop moment. Have fun. Good mental health is the most important thing. I sat back when I was writing these eight things, and through the pandemic, through everything else, starting up my YouTube channel, wanting subscribers, trying to build a community of people that, I know that sounds cliche, but I wanted to find friends. I want to, that have similar interests to me. Maybe they scrap like me. Maybe they live in a country that I'm intrigued in. That's what I wanted. When I scrap, I put on some music or put on a video, put on a bit of Netflix, whatever, and basically I just get into my happy place. It really is. Scrapbooking should not be difficult and stressful. If it's difficult and stressful, take a step back and reevaluate, why am I doing this? Is it because I enjoy craft? Is it because I enjoy the process of getting my story out? Do I like the wordiness of it? Do I like the papers? Do I enjoy the textures? You want to know a really weird, quirky thing about me? I don't know if you do this, but I have my own scrap room, okay? And I'm extremely privileged. This is our own home, so this room is literally set up for my scrapbooking. And when the happiest time of my day is when I open the door and enter my craft room. The smell of the papers, and there's a smell about the room. It's craft. And it's really bizarre, but the smell that I get, and if any of my friends that I went to school with, back in primary school, we had an art room, and it was underneath the cooking room, and that's where we would go. Obviously, I'm 46, okay, so times have changed, but sorry, I correct myself, I'm 45. I'm not quite 46 yet. And that craft room, I remember so clearly when we opened the doors and we walked in. It was cold because it was underneath another building. It was very cold, but the smell of the paper and the paper mache and the cell mix glue and just the textures and the feel, like that does it for me. That to me is my happy place. I love it. Obviously, I love my children, I love my husband, I love my life, so much more. But when it comes to crafts specifically, my scrapbooking, that is what I love. I love the textures, the smell, it takes me back. It's memories, and that's what I take from my scrapbooking. The memories of how I was feeling the day I created the page. The thoughts I was having when I created the page or the album, like my wedding album. Every photo that I put down, I remembered who I was talking to in that moment or who I was hugging in that moment. And that, to me, is scrapbooking. Now, what else can I tell you? Something I do want to draw your attention to. So that's the sticker book. That's the simple vintage indigo garden collection sticker book. Now, if you look at my page, you can see I haven't actually mounted the green on another sheet of white cardstock, which is what I normally do. On the weekend, just gone, or maybe the one before that, I was finally putting all my layouts into albums. And because I use Creative Memories albums, they have an amazing system. If you don't have them, if you haven't seen them before, find yourself a consultant. I'm not a consultant anymore. I'm not. I have bought so much that I stopped when I stopped scrapping for a while. But I still have a lot of the stuff, and I love their albums. And if you look at this page, on the left-hand side, you can see two little metal pieces. Those two metal pieces are bound into that spine of this page. Now, because I normally create a white border or something like that around my page, I figured today on this one, I'm going to save the white cardstock and I'm going to actually just put it straight on the page, which is how I used to always scrap. I don't do that anymore, but I think for the next little bit, until I use up the white pages that I have, I'm going to mount them like this so that I'm saving on cardstock. Not because it costs me a fortune. I just think it's creating extra bulk in my album that I just don't need. I can maybe fit some extra pages in there if I don't do that. That just makes sense in my mind. Okay, so we've touched on everything. So at the end of it all, for me, mental health is super important, and I feel that my scrapbooking, and believe it or not, making these YouTube videos, I absolutely love it. I am not a technology girl. I'm a paper scrapper. I've never got over to the digital scrapbooking stuff. why I'm pointing at the page there is I'm thinking I need something in that middle piece, but I think I do put something there. Can't remember. We'll have to wait and see. Hey. So yeah, I'm a paper scrapper. So for me, touching the paper, cutting the paper, tearing the paper, glue, bit of mixed media, all that sort of bizzo, it's really, really humbling for me, and I love it. It grounds me, and it gets me in a really good headspace. So if you know somebody that maybe they used to really like making cards or making scrapbook pages or something like that, if you really like the idea of cut files, you've seen all these people do cut files. I know Paige Evans has cut files. Missy Whidden not always, but a lot of the time uses a cut file. Virginia Walker, she's got a cut file shop as well. I buy quite a lot of Virginia's stuff. I absolutely love her style, and yeah, so I'm really happy with hers. You can find hers on Etsy, and it's under the Copa Cut Files. It's called COAPA. So here's a close-up, guys. Like I said, like and subscribe, and you'll be notified when I create another page and load it up. And there you go. So I hope you enjoyed that. Something a little bit different, a little bit of insight into 8 little known facts about scrapbooking. Thanks very much for watching, and see you later. Bye.